things are definitely expensive, but we spend more than we need to as well. In the US, people now collectively spend more than $250 billion each year on digital gadgets, $140 billion on personal care products, $75 billion on jewelry and watches, $60 billion on household appliances, $30 billion on luggage. Yet, the stereotype of America as the world's rogue shopping addict is no longer accurate, if it ever was. Now, that's just a few numbers, and I want to drop down just a little bit. It says even the world's poorest citizens buy, as a World Bank report puts it, what they are willing to pay for and not what they need. Typically, when we have this conversation about needs versus wants, so many people will get triggered and they say, well, that's not fair. Just because I don't make as much as this person or the next person or the next family, I shouldn't have to live in lack. The problem that I have with that is oftentimes when we do have that conversation, we're talking about things that really are modern day luxuries. If you think about it, like, I can't even think of, my mom did not go to like Starbucks, or, well, that wasn't really a thing when I was really little, but she didn't go to like Starbucks every day. We weren't even eating out and eating like fast food all the time. Neither was my dad always doing things like that. Like, we typically ate at home. So people will compare like their coffee addiction, or like their desire to want to go to Home Goods, their desire to want to just go frolic and spend extra money, to actual needs. And I think that, like I said in the first video on this topic, a lot of it has to do with us just being inundated with new things, new products, new services, new gadgets, new things. So, and we also have like this shiny object syndrome where we're unable to really take a step back and say, okay, that would be nice to have, but I really don't need it. Like, I really do not have a need for that thing. And what ends up happening, because a lot of these conveniences are like $5 here, $6 here, $20 here, it feels more affordable, but really it's eating away at you. And this little $5 here, $20 here, $30 here turns to like $300, $400, $500 at the end of the month. And we still don't look at it from a step back and say, okay, I'm not making enough, but I also have a hole in my pocket. Like, I'm also not being a good steward of the things that I already have. Countertops are bigger, beds are bigger, closets have doubled in size. The technosphere, everything we build and make, our stuff, is now estimated to outweigh all living things on Earth. Spread evenly across the surface of the planet, our possessions would amount to a 50-kilogram heap of every square meter. I do want to go back up because he said even if you think that these numbers are wrong, it doesn't really matter. Because even if they're not 100% accurate, like even if the number is not $250 billion each year on digital gadgets, it's probably in the ballpark, and it probably is some extreme. So don't, if you want to like look these things up present day, you can, but I think he's more so saying, yes, these things are based on surveys and research, but even if there is a margin of error, which, be real, there always is when it comes to science and statistics, there's always some margin of inaccuracy. But even if they're not 100% accurate, you can still see how troubling this is for us as a society, right? So he says, picture, say, a pile composed of small television, a pineapple, a 2-slice toaster, a pair of shoes, a concrete block, a car tire, a year's supply of cheese for the average American, and a pet chihuahua. We haven't even begun to talk about what we throw away. The annual output of garbage in the United States and Canada, loaded into 2 trucks, could circle the equator 12 times. Let me tell y'all, where I live, I found out one of my neighbors in our area, I used to always wonder, where is he walking to? Like, what is he going to do? He makes a good bit of money just going around collecting stuff that people are throwing out. He resells it. Thank God he does, right? Because a lot of that stuff would just get picked up otherwise. But it makes me think about how we are such a throwaway culture where something has a minor little defect, we're ready to get rid of it. You have a car and your car is still running. It's just 9 years old. You paid off your car note. Let me get another one, right? Like, we're so just, I want the new thing because I can get the new thing. And like I said, part of it is our personal responsibility, but part of it is just unregulated, I guess, in the consumer market, because these people can sell anything to us, right? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy things, but what I'm saying is, even as being an active consumer, even as being a person who shares books, I share things and I get affiliate links for these things. But what I'm saying is there's a responsibility on the seller, but there's also personal responsibility to know, like, just because I see a new table in the furniture store doesn't mean I need one. My table still works fine. Just because I see this new trendy outfit doesn't mean that I need to get that. I have clothes in my closet. Just because I see this new gadget, like, this is so crazy. I saw on Facebook Marketplace, I was looking for something very specific, but I saw like a machine that makes mini cupcakes. And then I also saw something that's like a pizza oven, right? And I'm thinking to myself, if you have an oven in your house, why do you also need this trendy device that makes mini cupcakes? You can bake cupcakes in your oven. Why do you need a tabletop pizza rotator? It's just like, these things are cool and it's like, oh, I want one, but you don't really need it. And this is what I mean, where we start to like overindulge in all of these things that we don't really need, that we already have a solution for. But it's going to make our lives more convenient, but it really doesn't make your life more convenient, because chances are you're going to get that thing, you might use it, you might not use it, but then you're going to be overwhelmed with the surface area that it takes up. Like, I'm a person, I don't like to see anything on my kitchen counters. I like for my house to basically look like nobody lives here. I like my house to look like a model home, okay? And so I realized, like, accumulating all these things makes that really hard. Not only that, the more stuff you get, the less time you have in your life if you're properly managing those things, because now you got to clean it. Now you got to put it away. Now you got to store it. Now you got to look at it on your shelf, right? And this isn't just with electronics. We do this with everything. He says Americans used to toss out far more stuff than Europeans, but nations like Germany and the Netherlands have actually caught up. An average household in France throws away 4 times as much waste as it did in 1970. And again, that's because we have more stuff that we can buy, right? About a fifth of our food ends up in the garbage worldwide, and remarkably, this is a problem in poorer countries as well as richer ones. Dogs and cats used to help us dispose the leftover food. Today, they have their own consumer goods, from beds to toys, clothing, pet tech products, market worth more than $16 billion in the U.S. alone. Our pets produce their own trash. Anyway, this is coming from The Day the World Stopped Shopping by J.B MacKinnon. This was one of my recommended books for moms and stay-at-home wives, but I do think everybody can read it. I specifically said moms and stay-at-home wives because a lot of times in that area, in that market, we complain about how little we have to go around, or how tight the resources are. But I would imagine that a lot of us are just misusing the resources that we have. We're investing and indulging in too much. Like, even when we think about children's toys, sometimes I am alarmed when I see the number of toys that people have for their children. I have a 2-year-old, and all of his toys, he got a corner where his toys are. And it's like, not because I'm trying to deprive him, but because being that once you have so many children, you realize, like, okay, they don't need all this stuff. First of all, I hate toys that make noise, so no. Let's get some Montessori stuff in here. Let's get some blocks, right? But even when you go to get these toys, if you keep buying all of these toys, what are the chances that your child is actually going to play with all of them? When they have fewer things that they actually enjoy, it makes it easier to clean up. It's less wasteful. And then if you choose good toys, you can actually pass those toys along to the next family. Or if you have another baby, you can use those same toys. But we got it bad, y'all. Like, shopping hauls, Target runs, we out of control. Maybe this book can help you to put that into perspective, convict you a little bit, and challenge you on the way that you think about shopping.